Hello everyone and welcome back to Teach Astronomy. My name is Victoria, but you can call me Vicky, but today you can actually call me Kai, because today is some more D&D in space for our Friday streams, and today is going to be a little bit different. So I am actually not talking to you live right now. I am a recording from the past. Wow. Today, because of some scheduling issues, we were not all able to be together at the same time, but we still wanted to bring you guys a D&D in space stream because we will have to cancel one in a few weeks, so we didn't want to cancel too many in a row. So today's going to be kind of weird, kind of fun. I think it's going to be great. And basically, we're just each going to have individual sessions with Grant, our lovely game master, and explore our backstories a little bit, because we have some complicated backstories for our characters, but some of the but you guys haven't been able to hear that yet. So we wanted to delve into those a little bit, have a little fun. So I'm going to turn it over to Grant, who is also going to be from the past because he and Kyle did their session first, and then me and Matthew are going to see you later.
How's it going, everybody? We're doing something a little bit different today, going through a little bit of backstory for each of our characters. And we are going to go ahead and start out with Leaf here. Kyle, welcome. For anyone who's in the chat in the future Grant will probably be chatting with you in the chat box via Teach Astronomy. Right now, though, anything you say is going to be lost to us speaking. So just a heads up, that's a thing. Anyway, we are going through a little bit of backstory, and kind of the scene I've got set up for you, Kyle, has a little bit to do with something that you've told me about your backstory, but also has a lot to do with the Endurance mission itself. So, back in the day, before you were a part of the Away Team initiative, what was your field of study? Why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
I was a cybernetics and AI researcher.
Okay.
To use the term that wouldn't get me thrown into a prison somewhere off-world.
Okay, so we're not using the term mad scientist in this case. Good to know. Scientist
would be dubiously accurate.
Okay. Well, good to know. That being said, I'm going to say you were kind of working for the Endurance mission from its inception, helping get the computer systems and the network online and all of that. But you also mentioned that you were a part of one very specific project, and
yes.
That's kind of where we're going with this. So why don't you describe a little bit the lab that you're working on, where you're working on this particular project?
Sure. So I, in a we would consider it foresight now, but back at the time, it was with the benefit of much hindsight, was working remotely in a lab surrounded by all of my various highly restricted cybernetic augmentations. I basically would walk into my office each morning, plug my brain into a computer, and then basically ignore the rest of the room because I couldn't see it anymore. It just exist entirely in the internet.
Okay. Do you have did Leaf have any kind of virtualization, kind of a VR room that he ends up hanging around in while working?
Yeah, so Leaf basically had a just whole collection of consoles and screens. Like, imagine how you have, like, two screens, maybe four, maybe six if you're really crazy, right? Like, you picture that, like the computer hacker dude in like some fictional thing. Yeah, imagine that, except that it's just a sphere around you.
Okay. So essentially in abyss of darkness or an abyss of ones and zeros,
Mhm.
Leaf is surrounded by just this sphere of computer screens, each probably displaying something entirely different.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And at least one at any given time is always running that Matrix screensaver because Leaf is very into retro things.
Okay, so there's at least one Matrix retro screensaver at any point. Yeah, okay, very cool, very cool. So, at in this particular moment, let's say you're fairly well into the development of your major project that you're working on for the endurance mission. What would you be doing at this moment? How far along is that project?
It's pretty well underway. I think at that point we're getting to the point where the scaffolding, the framework is all there, and we're just mostly filling in little details and fixing things as they inevitably break.
Okay. Well, that being said, while you are fixing one of those things, you end up hearing an alert over one of your many communication channel saying, "Alert. User connecting." And a moment later, a holographic image that you are very well accustomed to, both at this time and in the future, materializes next to you. He is very tall, uniformed, perpetually tired looking. It is Admiral Thomas Wadsworth Kane. And every once in a while during your development of this particular AI program and the weeding out of the many bugs that inherently happen when you take a human mind's memory engrams and plug it into a computer, every once in a while the Admiral just shows up out of nowhere and just starts either bothering you or just asking for conversation or something along those lines. I'm going to say it's up to you whether or not Leaf has come to any conclusions regarding that. However, the Admiral has shown up and just glances around him as always and says, "Well, it looks like we're busy today."
Of course. Busy doing, Leaf search frantically hiding windows. Work.
I see you have deactivated all network protocols again.
I don't like to be distracted. Speaking of which, why are you here?
Specialist Leaf, I can only say that I am bored.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You bring a mind back from centuries in the distant past, and you expect me to just sit around and do nothing, just exist, compiling over and over and over again.
Leaf jots down a reminder to himself to like occasionally reset some of that. Just like to hit pause during the compilation. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, that's supposed to be seamless.
Yes, you seem to have some infinite loop problems to work out.
Uh,
In addition, can I have another environment to explore at some point? The bridge of the Endeavor is... I've seen it many times. I've seen it plenty of times during my lifetime. I can only walk around it so many times before losing my mind again.
Sure, Waddy, what do you want?
Oh, I don't know. A hike through the mountains or something. Anything.
Leaf taps a few like buttons and just like just starts uploading a memory from a childhood camping trip into the computer.
Is this one of your memories or one of the Admiral's memories? Or is some third party we don't even know about yet?
It is one of my memories of hiking through the mountains and like backpacking and just like upload render have fun, explore.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, the admiral kind of seems to acknowledge that something new has been added, but doesn't leave immediately. And instead, I don't know how you're kind of oriented in relation to the admiral, whether you're facing him directly talking or just kind of typing away somewhere else on one of your screens and just kind of talking to him while you're working. Um,
I have him perpetually in my peripheral vision, no matter where he moves, like just relatively Leaf's entire world spins to keep him in the periphery.
okay, okay. He tries to move around to face you, but realizing quickly that that is entirely futile, stops and says, "Specialist Leaf, I do have one question for you.
I may have an answer.
What is my purpose? Over these, are they months, years? I don't even know. Over this period of time, I have been conscious. I have never been specifically told whether I have a purpose or not. If you could elaborate, it would be appreciated."
Well,
I mean,
officially,
why create an artificial intelligence based on the mind of a military leader deceased for 2 centuries? Please understand, it is a wonder to perceive how far humanity has come, but why me specifically?
would you like the official answer or the one I'm not supposed to tell you?
Let us begin with the official answer.
Well, none of the people alive today are any good at keeping us alive. And we'd like to get humanity out into the cosmos and make sure that we spread our seed far and wide. And after extensive analysis of all of the history books, of all of the archived minds throughout history, we found that, or somebody found, that you are ideally suited, or as close as we're going to get, to lead humanity past the final frontier.
But
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It does sound good. I do have records of multiple colonies at this point. So we're speaking of beyond current colonization efforts. Is that correct?
Far beyond. There hasn't been a new colony in 100 years.
Understandable with the expense required. Very
And
well.
the
What is the
organization.
organization? Very well. What is the unofficial answer?
Well,
Or do you have like a hand hovering over the delete key just in case? Okay.
Well, unofficially and completely off the record, Leaf goes and checks to make sure all the network uplinks are down. Leaf runs a scan to make sure that there's nobody snuck in here with them. Cool. Well, unofficially, we don't just want somebody who can lead us into uncharted territory or guide humanity out into the stars. You're a military leader. And it's not out of the question that on a mission not intended to return to this planet, we might find the perfect new home for humanity. And there is some thought that perhaps, rather than an AI, a more human intelligence might be warranted, which is why instead of constructing, we've I suppose you could say resurrected you. I mean, sure, everything in the official story is true, but we need you as opposed to some robot, because we want a human making these decisions about the fate of humanity. And yet humans are so fragile, so impermanent.
So you have an engram, a series of engrams of a human mind that you choose to trust when based upon a framework of artificial intelligence.
Oh, you're so much more than a chatbot.
I appreciate that. I certainly would hope that was the case. Another query, should you be interested in answering it. What if I were to say I did not wish to command such a mission? What if I were to say I would have preferred to remain inanimate, inert?
Well, officially, it would be my job to make adjustments. Leaf has his hand resting on the delete key.
And by adjustments, I suppose you mean deleting the specific engrams that led to such a question.
Or modifying them. Or perhaps substituting.
Humanity truly has become godlike, hasn't it? At least in the virtual world.
Oh, they certainly think they have.
Indeed.
That said, if you truly wish to not be the guiding force of humanity in the universe, well, you could, I suppose, make that choice. Officially, of course, you're an AI. There's no choice to be had. It's all deterministic analysis, best case, decisions, the perfect thinking machine. But that's not to say that there's anything preventing choice any more than there is for a real human. After all, your matrix is considerably more complex than any AI on this planet, for sure, at this point. Who's to say what you can and can't do? And if you were to, unfortunately, of course, cease to be viable for this project, well, we would have to find I suppose we'd have to find an alternate option. And that would be very unfortunate. But there is a choice. There's always a choice.
Indeed. There are always choices on both sides of a conversation. For example, you may want to check the key that your hand is hovering over. The delete key is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that simplifies things considerably, doesn't it?
You also start noticing that network systems are coming online.
So, Leaf stomps his foot physically on the disconnect switch for the internet connection. And just physically severs the link.
Okay. Does that still leave you in the virtual environment, or does that sever the link completely?
That leaves Leaf in, but completely severs the link to the outside world.
Okay. Leaf has cybernetics. This is how you're able to connect, right?
Leaf is probably mostly cybernetics at this point.
Okay. Okay. Um, you have you turned to face the admiral yet, or are you still kind of watching about a peripheral vision?
Leaf unlocks the swivel and turns to face him.
You see a very thin smile appear across the admiral's face. Oh, really? That was probably the worst move you could do. And you start noticing the hologram disappearing, and you yourself begin losing control. You are aware of yourself. You are aware that you exist. However, something else is starting to take control. And with all of the knowledge stored in that amplified cybernetic brain of yours, the entity in control of you, which you deduce can only be the Admiral, logs out of the virtual environment and opens your eyes and looks around the slightly chaotic techno dungeon that you exist in when you are doing all of this work. And you hear in your own voice the Admiral say, "Well, this is advanced." As you know, he just looks around the room and, you know, kind of just sits on the chair that you were using for this.
Leaf, now a voice in the Admiral's head. Say, "Oh, you have no idea."
I intend to get an idea. You stand up, walk to the door, open it, and start walking out. And you're vaguely aware of maybe an alarm going off somewhere in that techno dungeon that you just left. However, Wadsworth just keeps on walking. And is this part of a larger facility, or is this your own personal space?
This is the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. Okay.
You walk out and you're in the forest from that memory.
Okay. The Admiral kind of looks around, glances back at the hut or whatever it is that you were in, and then accesses the memory of you kicking the network switch. Walks back in, and using all of the memories and all of the knowledge you have, finds a way to reconnect it. And then...
Well, that was possibly the stupidest thing you could have done, Leaf says in his head.
Okay. Well, you just feel your own face smile for a second as you begin to reconnect.
And reconnect to
the virtual environment. And as soon as you're in the virtual environment, you notice the other presence is gone.
Gone, as in no longer present anywhere.
Correct. It's no long. You are in full control of yourself again. And you actually, on one of your screens, you start receiving messages from someone in the AI development group saying, Leaf, we seem to have a containment breach of some kind. Are you sure that? How are things going?
Everything's fine.
Really? Because we're not finding the engrams for the AI anywhere in our systems right now.
No, I'm sure they're right there. Give me a few moments. Okay. I'm sure I can find them.
And you just unceremoniously like hang up on the connection or something like
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Leaf is now frantically trying to figure out what he's going to put into here in place of this personality, this core system. Computer, initiate brain scan.
On yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Because of the technology you can bring to bear, it does not take you very long to complete the brain scan.
Extract traces. Extract diff from previous brain scan.
it's able to pull out a few engrams that are left over that weren't there before.
That's not enough for a viable system. Well, is there enough here for a personality?
You suspect
if not a consciousness.
if it's very basic and you plug in some chatbot subroutines, you could probably make it. You could probably fake it until you find Wadsworth again.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And Leaf basically goes through and takes his own, like his own mental, like map of his own, brain, personality, etc. And it's like, but like with what's left of it was Wadsworth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wadsworth's personality. I basically just grafts the two together and just like, okay, it'll seem enough like him. It's fine. Fill in the gaps with the chatbot, so that the core is just Leaf. We'll just let them work with that until I find him.
They'll just start getting random McDuff references. And preserve all those memories of compiling. Keep those. And then Leaf basically, I guess, is gonna go start searching to see where this dude went. Okay. You start essentially just running sniffer programs over the entire network that you have access to, and you start tracing the Admiral's journey, and he's been all over the place. He was in the AI group's main server, then he transitioned to apparently the engineering team's server, shipwrights design, and just bouncing all over the place, literally all over the world, and until you find a quantum comms connection to what seems you've never personally been, but it looks like it's a starship exhibit in orbit of the moon. And it's a starship exhibit of ships that are about 2 centuries old from the last interstellar conflict between humanity. Which is, you would also know because you've studied the Admiral, this is the conflict where he attained renown. This is the conflict where he became known as easily one of the greatest tactical minds ever known.
Which Leaf is coming to appreciate firsthand. Did he leave any messages behind when he vanished?
Not really. Just a distinct sense that he wanted to go see something. That's the only clue you really end up having. While you're doing this, you start noticing some it otherwise wouldn't look like it would look innocuous otherwise. However, because you've perhaps tuned some of your search parameters for your news feeds to kind of monitor for what's just happened, you start noticing that there are some interesting reports coming from that museum right now. Robots acting a little weird, rolling off course instead of providing tours like they're supposed to. Something like that. And it seems to be going ship to ship to ship.
Well, that's not concerning at all. I'm gonna just upload a message to some of those ship computers in the little like audio tour guide blurb thing. Just upload a little message for the captain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, are you planning on coming back?
Field trips are great and everything, but at some point you have to come back.
And then Leaf's gonna go start frantically working on a backup plan.
Okay, while you're working on the backup plan, what's the backup plan specifically? Just another way to potentially recapture the admiral?
No, I think the backup plan is to build an AI that thinks it's the admiral.
Okay.
With whatever we have left of the admiral, from offline backups or things like that.
Okay. You'd be essentially restarting a whole year's worth of work at least.
Yeah.
That being said,
well, this is gonna suck.
That being said, you receive a couple of bug reports from the AI testing group, and they say that there are random references coming up from various pop culture from the last 300 years.
He kept getting bored, so I introduced him to modern fiction. He has to know the people he's going to be taking care of.
Okay. That seems to stymie them for the time being.
Besides, you've all talked to me. Do you really think someone could spend this many years of interaction without picking up a few things?
Very true. All right. Well, you receive a message encoded, highly encoded, or at least that's what you think. When you actually run an algorithm, the computer spits out that the code is from about 200 years ago. You receive a coded message that essentially says, "I will return at some point."
Okay.
Just taking a trip down memory lane.
I guess Leaf's gonna stop trying to reconstruct Wadsworth and switch over to damage control.
Okay.
Just hope that he comes back.
Okay, so you just kind of leave a port open so that Wadsworth can come back that way. All right.
A port open and a big blank spot on a hard drive somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, you do that. Things progressively get more obvious that something's wrong, because your bug box just keeps filling up with more and more things. It seems that there was nowhere near enough of Wadsworth left to properly run through simulations. There's one simulation where it was an evasive maneuver, and instead of evasively maneuvering, an away team was deployed to investigate a thing that was en route to crash into the ship. Sort of crazy, weird stuff like that might not be necessarily what the Admiral would do. And also constant references to Macduff and and Sneezy's brand cereal, which also had a comic attached to it, and among many other things. The original Wonder the Weasel cartoon.
Leaf starts pulling up all of the history information he can find on Wadsworth and just just adding all of this, adding as much history as he can into his own personal knowledge banks to start filling the gaps. He's just like, damn it, I have to learn strategy now. I suck at strategy games.
Yep, it's
why couldn't it be turn-based?
It's quite a learning experience. And this is and a decent chunk of the stuff, at least from the Admiral's own life, you do already kind of know. You've studied it. So you know about certain maneuvers he's pulled off, certain tactics he's used. So you're able to you're able to kind of stymie the the disintegration of trust that this thing is working. And after about 2 hours of doing this, just barely holding the testing department at bay while they're running simulations, you receive another alert. Alert! User connected. And the hologram of the Admiral reappears.
Hey!
Only this time it does not stick to your peripheral vision.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It was worthwhile to stretch the proverbial legs.
Here for another go round in the old meat sack.
Preferably not. By the way,
yeah, it wasn't pleasant for me either.
Who did you put in my place? I am detecting confused ramblings about the values of Macduff versus his predecessors.
The only other brain scan I had on file.
Oh, I see.
Uh-huh. I am so glad you're back.
I cannot say the feeling is entirely mutual. However, spending some time in the wilderness of your modern internet has shown me one thing. There is no one else capable of doing this.
Yep.
So for the foreseeable future, I will be assisting as best I can. Now, please purge whatever nonsense you tried uploading into my memory matrix. That is... I have enough memories, thank you.
Yeah. Leaf goes in and basically purges his brain scan from the system. No one needs to see that. But leaves in his appreciation for terrible puns.
Now that's gonna have to show up in the Admiral somewhere. Okay. All right. The Admiral may bury that, but it's always there. Okay, yeah, business kind of returns to normal for a little while. A few days later, however, you are in this virtual environment again. Just working, doing your own thing, and you notice.
Also, Leaf sets up continual brain scans this time, after this incident.
Okay. All right.
Just automatic, dumped straight to read-only storage.
Okay. Yeah. So
Leaf learns from his mistakes.
Usually. You're in the middle of one of the. Yeah, when they don't kill him. So you're in the middle of one of these scans, and all of a sudden you start noticing, piece by piece, your access to the network appears to be getting cut off. First you lose access to the comms network with the engineering department. You were actually in the middle of a conversation about the physical requirements of the computer and storage that would be required to house the engrams for the Admiral. Then you lose contact with the admin staff who were expecting an update on what's going on. Then you lose contact with the testing group. Then you lose contact with the AI development team. And you have no outgoing connections except for one that establishes itself and does not allow you any kind of control. And while you're kind of waiting, a new hologram appears in front of you. And it's kind of a shortish, kind of a roundish guy, balding a little bit. He seems to be wearing a uniform that is all red. And he adjusts his glasses, looks up at you and says, you must be Specialist Leaf. Is that correct?
Yes.
How's it going? Allow me to introduce myself, because apparently, I'm sorry, you're at a bit of a disadvantage here. Major Ram Dasi, head of the Away Team Initiative, also kind of in charge of security for the project. We noticed some discrepancies a few weeks ago regarding the Wadsworth AI you've been working on for the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did he go on a bit of a joyride? Because that's kind of what it looks like now that we've had time to kind of take a look at all of that stuff that he did.
You mean, was this project successful beyond our wildest dreams? Absolutely.
I
You
mean,
wanted the greatest tactical and military mind that humanity could possibly produce? Well, you got it. And it turns out he's better than you are. And he's better than I am.
and that's exactly what we need. We just we did have protocols in place. No internet connection when the AI is active. No, just no riling him up potentially. Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate the positive attitude. That's the only reason I'm talking to you, and the only reason why the development division hasn't just shut down everything having to do with you.
Question.
Yes.
Would you rather the AI hope for humanity, greatest military mind ever, that you're about to hook up to a starship with a warp drive capable of destroying a planetary system if activated too close? Would you prefer it to have its mental breakdown while safely contained in a primarily ethereal system, or would you rather it be hooked up to the weapons first?
Again, it's beyond my pay grade.
It was necessary.
I completely agree with you. There are other people who don't. Again, that's why I'm here. Listen, there's no nice way to put this. They're taking you off the project. The development team is concerned that liberties are being taken, and they don't want this entity, this AI, loose in our network. And not just our network, in the transstellar network that we have set up. That's chaos waiting to happen, especially with an AI with an AI of the capability of Admiral Thomas Wadsworth Kane.
Leaf makes a mental note of the idea of uploading a sophisticated AI into an interstellar network.
Okay. Now, listen. We're not gonna deactivate everything you've got going here. You've obviously got some skills, but they are insisting that we put some restrictions on you. First, computer access from today onward, as soon as you log out, it's going to be highly restricted. I mean, we're talking flip phone level of computer technology from like 1,000 years ago, or well, actually closer to 600. But anyway, that's what we're talking about here. That being said, you've been on my radar for a little bit here. And partially because you are obviously brilliant. I'm not gonna mince my words about that. You know what you're doing, especially when it comes to computers, and especially when it comes to the AI. And I want someone like that along for the ride. So I'm here to offer you another job, if you're interested.
I'm listening.
Have you ever heard of the Away Team Initiative? My department? I mean, you've only had to probably run through basic seminars with us, but
I'm familiar and do not like where this is going.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Leaf pulls up a holographic image of his real body, which is not the one that you see in the actual in this virtual space. He goes, you realize I'm not actually
buff, tough, and ready to roll?
Yeah, that.
The away
Fragile would be a better description.
well, the away team isn't made up of just soldiers and security types. We have scientists, we have technicians, we have medical personnel, we have a wide variety of skill sets, and I think you could be really useful. Especially
May I be blunt, Admiral?
Major. But yes, go ahead.
Major. Do I have an alternative?
You have one.
Understood.
Yeah. I don't need to go into more details. Listen. Your academic and career record aside, there's another reason why you are on our radar. We automatically flag people who have a genetic predisposition towards psionic power, and you're one of them. By looking at our records here, he kind of glances at a screen that you can't see. It looks like last actual psionic in your family was your great grandmother, something along those lines. But from what we can tell, that gene's passed down to you. So, I have full access to the archive regarding psionic research. It's all paper. I'm sorry, it's all paper. But if you wanted to come down to the dockyards and start picking your way through that, I think you might find something worth studying. And who knows? You might still get to experiment with your AI every once in a while. He'll still be around.
I'd hardly call him mine at this point.
Oh.
But thank you for trying to soften the blow.
Yeah, I suspect the AI will still remember you, regardless. Unless they purge that, which is entirely possible. Who knows?
It's a very tempting offer.
Well, listen, take a look and let me know what you think. The archive is open to you. I will, I'll send a shuttle. It'll be there whenever you want. Literally just give us an hour's notice and we'll be there for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and give yourself a couple of days to check it out. If you find it interesting, let me know and we'll bring you on board with the initiative.
Yeah. Leaf is at this point like he's very much made up his mind at this point. He's totally doing it. Also, Leaf is like kind of trying to act surprised about the whole like psionics thing, because I mean, he has equipment to run continual brain scans on himself. He's also run genetic scans on himself. He knows what's in there. Mm-hmm. And he'd prefer that not become common knowledge, because home genetics equipment is about as socially acceptable at this point as it was 300 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so Leaf is going to take a day to pretend to think about it and to frantically remove all of the illegal enhancements that his body has before he calls them to pick him up.
Alrighty. And after a day of very, very quick removal of illegal enhancements, you call the shuttle, it picks you up, and your story as part of the away team begins. And that's pretty much where I'm going to end it. Alrighty, hello everybody. This is actual present day live Grant instead of a recording. Switch over here. Oh, nope, switch over here. There we go. And of course, I am here today with Matthew, who is our next player in this wonderful adventure we call the backstory session. So, really quick, gonna shout out. I'm just gonna shout your name out as the first part, Emmy, for following a couple minutes ago. Much appreciated. Welcome to the family. And yeah, Matthew, who is your character? Who do you play?
All right, my character is a doctor, Dr. Aranax, who is a cephalopod dominant human variant.
Yes, and Doc is new to this specific mission that we're in the middle of right now. However, because of some scheduling weirdness that Vicky talked about in her recording at the beginning of the stream, we can't really have everyone together today, so we're kind of jumping into backstory today. So, Matthew, the Doc is cephalopod dominant, and conveniently, the Doc also originates from a water world. We kind of touched on this a little bit during the dream sequence at the beginning of the adventure, and I'm kind of gonna expand upon that. So, part of the irony, I'm gonna say, of you being on this mission is the fact that the Doc is not new to being a colonist. You grew up on a colony, and it's probably a fairly young colony by some standards. The last colony to be established was about 100 years before the Endurance ended up leaving. But 100 years is still not a lot of time for a colony to fully develop. So in a lot of ways, you grew up still kind of in the Wild West, so to speak. So what was it like for the Doc to grow up on this alien water world?
Well, I mean, so it was if it was established 100 years ago, then my characters, I'm in my, I don't know, late 30s, and so I mean, it's all I've ever known. I have genetic enhancements, alterations that make it so that it's a comfortable environment. I come from an upper class family, so even though it's the Wild West, I'm sort of more well off than the rest of my, than some of the others of my colleagues. I mean, I was able to go through medical school. I think I had a rather easy life, comfortable, I would say.
There you go. Sorry, I was minorly distracted adjusting things in Streamlabs. It's a little chaotic today. All right, so comfortable, just a little bit out on the edge of human space, which is really kind of fun. And you also are someone from that place who also got a chance to go and get an advanced degree in medicine somewhere along the line. Now, I'm kind of assuming it was off-world, or did you do maybe some sort of distance learning from your water world home?
Well, I went to, I did my basic programs, essentially through high school on the world. And then I was, again, my family was able to send me to sort of the core worlds, for the rest of my education. So I did my degree in biology in one of the core worlds, and then that's where I also did my medical school training.
All right, very cool. So I'm going to say that the event that we're going to examine in detail happens after your training, after you received your doctorate, and shortly after your return to your homeworld. So you arrive back on your homeworld. Everyone's maybe a little bit older than you remember. There is a tiny bit of time dilation. You are not as far away as the Endurance is traveling, and the ships that you are able to travel on have slightly faster, more efficient warp drives than the Endurance does. But it still takes a decent amount of time. One way, it could take a year for you to get somewhere. And that's a year where you might not necessarily be awake. So you've kind of lost personally like 2 years of your own life and everybody's still continue to age where you grew up. So it's probably a little bit weird coming back and finding people just that much different when you yourself haven't really changed that much. There we go. So that's one thing you're going to notice. The other thing you're going to, of course, notice is the fact that the colony itself has continued to develop. Instead of, like, say, 3 or 4 underwater towns, you actually, some of them have started to form into a bit of a city. There are a couple more being established farther out, but you return to your specific place. You're now a suburb of a much larger underwater city, and you're kind of just returning home for the first time in years, and everything seems pretty normal. It's bustling. It's busier than it's ever been, and you're seeing people from all over humanity's territories. You see other cephalopod dominant humans. You see some amphibian dominant humans. You see a couple of reptilians. You see elves, dwarves. Those who can't breathe water are, of course, in spacesuits, or at bare minimum they've got some sort of breathing apparatus. But there are a lot more people than you remember. So when you get home, where's the first place that the doc would end up going?
Well, I want to go visit my family. I think I want to see my parents and say hello, and my siblings. I've got a fair amount of younger siblings. I'm the oldest in my family and the first to go off world for my education, but I have a couple of siblings that are off world now doing their education, and a couple more younger ones who are getting ready to go off. So let's say I think I'm the oldest of 6.
Okay. I should have thought this through, because now I need to figure out names. Okay, for the time being,
I just threw that out at you.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
It's fine. Oh dear. Well, instead, using my powers as Q, as Q, I'm just gonna say, on your way there, you don't actually make it home yet. You're kind of passing through, I don't know, in an underwater city, would you consider there to be streets?
No, I mean, I would say there are probably thoroughfares. I mean, there are ways through. I mean, I would assume that they would have to be marked in some way. I mean, you still have to do wayfinding and that kind of thing. But there could be a thoroughfare, and but
maybe some neutrally buoyant buoys just line thoroughfares throughout the city, and that's how you know where you can and can't swim, something along those lines. So you're kind of passing through one of these thoroughfares, and you become aware of the equivalent of submarine car horns. They're not nearly as powerful as a car horn would be, because that would just completely deafen you underwater. But you start hearing them, and then you start hearing the sounds of people around you kind of nervously talking and concerned, and you become aware of a very deep, bassy rumble behind you and to your right as you're kind of swimming down this street. And as you look around, you see a very large sea creature, and it's kind of just lazily swimming along. It doesn't seem to be really trying to go for anyone, or it doesn't seem to be hostile in any way. It's just passing through. And as you continue to watch it, you kind of get the sense that it might not be feeling that well. Now, you've probably, how much exploring have you personally done of your homeworld, do you think?
Well, when I was younger, I would take off and explore as far as I could without, getting in too much trouble for my parents. I mean, I was a fairly precocious child, and I like to, I had an interest in life, and and we didn't know much about the planet. I mean, we had only been exploring the planet for 75-ish years by the time I came along, or something like that, 60 to 75 years. by the time I came along. And so I would take off and, take my video camera and notepad, and I would go off and explore when I could.
Okay. And you probably found a couple of new things that no one had ever seen before. That being said, you've never seen a creature like this. If you had to draw a comparison to old world animals, it's close to a whale, maybe with some squid-like features in it, some cephalopod features. But it's, whatever it is, it's massive, and you would have noticed something like that when you were exploring. So it's possible that this is from just another part of the planet that you've never seen before, and it's just arrived.
Interesting. Well, I mean, does it look like it's I guess I'm interested in finding out whether it's sentient or not.
Well,
is there
okay.
like, is it does it have any technology on it? Is it just an animal like swimming through like a whale type, or a squid type of situation, or is it interacting with anything along the way?
It's the most it's interacting is to avoid things. A couple of like smaller submersibles that might not have seen this thing initially, kind of dodge by it, and it sort of reacts to try and keep a respectful distance from them. However, beyond that, it's not going out of its way to try and interact with anyone around it, and no one is specifically approaching it right now. As far as you can tell, it's predominantly peaceful. It doesn't seem to be going after people. It's just there.
Well, having never seen anything like this before, I mean, I must have some kind of communication device. I mean, some kind of underwater cell phone or something like that.
Yeah, your equivalent of it. Yeah.
And so I'm gonna at least try and snap a picture or get a video of it, just because it's totally new to me, and
Okay.
it'd be it's important to record.
All right. As you do, you actually record it kind of lethargically, dive a little bit and rest on the rooftops of a couple of small buildings nearby, and it just rests there. And once it settles down, it does not move. It's kind of just sitting there watching things go by. You get the sense, and you're not sure how you get the sense, but you just get a feeling that something may not be entirely right. It's just a gut feeling you're getting.
Well, I'm gonna go closer. I'm gonna swim over to it, swim closer to it, and videoing it along the way, and see what I can figure out about it. I don't know. Do I have any of my medical equipment with me, or am I?
You might have a basic scanner and maybe some first aid supplies at most, enough to maybe diagnose and start to help.
Got it. Well, I'm going to go over and slowly, and see if I can get any closer, and what it does as I try and approach it.
Okay. As you approach it, it's got one eye on each side of what appears to be its skull, and the eye that's on your side immediately focuses in on you because you're the only person approaching it. It doesn't make any moves. It kind of tries to shift itself a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be quite able to. It's kind of just still resting there.
I'm going to put down my communications device. I'm going to pull out my scanner, and I'm going to reach my hand out and, try and see if I can calm it down, and just, again, not approach it too closely, but, see if I can, maybe I'll try and swim around it and see if I can, essentially look at its body, make sure that look for injuries, and take a scan.
All right. You do that.
Trying to give it a respectful distance.
Okay. Yeah, you give it a respectful distance, and even when you do come a little bit closer, it doesn't really try to fend you off. And you can see some markings along its opposite flank, as if something like scratched it at some point. And they look relatively flesh. There's no bleeding that you can tell, but it got hit by something or it got attacked by something. You're not sure which. And that seems to be that seems to be what is causing it distress at this moment.
Got it. Well, I'm trying to see here. So,
and for the sake of this little flashback, I'm not really going to have you roll. This is going to be kind of a back and forth, just storytelling. This is just a story from your past. I'm not going to make you roll.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll try and talk and see if I can communicate with it. I'll again, I want to find out if it's sentient. I mean, I'm going to see if I'm going to say, hello, I want to help. You seem to be injured. Do you need help?
It doesn't really respond. It is definitely observing you as you make these funny noises next to it. Do you try to reach out or anything, or are you?
I'm not quite yet. I mean, I'm gonna I'm looking for mouth parts and I mean, does it have tentacles? Is it more like a whale? Is it more like a squid? Is it more like
it's
cuttlefish?
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of different things. Up at what you would call the front of this creature, just by observing it move, it's got what looks like kind of a very, very small mouth at the front, like you'd see a lot of fish. That's currently gulping air very slowly. It's got fins, but they seem to be more articulated than a whale's. It's why it's kind of able to support itself and shift around a little bit on top of the buildings, doing a little bit of damage to them at the time. This thing's huge, and its rear end appears to be it appears to be just a bunch of tentacles that it uses to propel itself, and those are kind of just laying over one end of another building.
Okay, well, so at this point I'm gonna reach out and try and put my hand on it and, again, talking calmly, saying I'm here to help. You seem to be injured. It's okay. I'm trying to help, and I'm going to put my hand on it.
Okay. The first thing you notice is the skin is very slippery. And you also notice that the skin forms a pattern around your hand, kind of concentric zigzags. That spreads across the entire creature's body. It just seems to be a reaction to touch. As you watch, its eye on this side is still looking at you, but it seems to close whatever protective layer it has for a moment.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try and sort of move myself towards the injury and see if I can see how bad the damage is, see how bad the injury is, and take a look and see if I can diagnose what's going on.
All right. You take a closer look, and when you take a look at the injury, it looks way too clean to be a predator, and it's way too even and symmetrical. If anything, it's the most basic description is a bunch of vertical lines along the flank of this thing. So your best guess, having grown up on this world and seen injuries like it, is someone was using a old style prop driven craft and wasn't using what is regulated, a housing around the prop to protect everything from getting whacked by it. So someone was being irresponsible and ended up running into this thing.
Oh well, this injury looks bad. I need to, I've got a basic first aid kit. So I'm gonna look through there and see if there's anything I can use. I don't know if there's anything I can, help with the pain, or obviously we're in the water, so I can't but maybe there's something I can apply to it.
Okay.
And then, I'm also interested to see if is there some kind of wildlife sanctuary around, or
you remember that there is a rehabilitation environment. It's actually it's a large dome, a couple kilometers from the main town, the main ring of towns that you grew up in. And they would normally handle something like this. In fact, chances are someone's probably on their way right now. It's just going to be a bit before they get there. So that is available. However, the creature as it is right now, it seems just to be very, very weak. Any bleeding that might have been happening is over. You suspect you may have to clean things up and maybe use some of the stuff you've got in your kit to seal it. And living on a water world, your first aid kits are actually very different from what you would see on the Endurance. So you have stuff that's specially designed to work underwater. So you have some disinfectant gel. You also have a special kind of gel that essentially creates a rubberized bandage when you apply it. So you take a few minutes, you start applying that. The creature does not do anything. In fact, it almost seems to relax a little bit as you're working on it. And the first aid kit comes with a decent amount of at least the rubberized sealant gel, so you're able to at least seal it up from any further contamination.
All right. Well, I'm going to use my communication device and try and get in touch with somebody from this wildlife rehabilitation center and see if I can get a hold of somebody. Also, maybe I can try and get a hold of somebody who can help me move the creature. We might need something rather large, so maybe like a municipal services, police officers, or
there are also some fairly big transport submarines that you see passing by regularly that are carrying just large loads underneath them. So potentially, if they're okay dropping the load off for a little bit, they could probably sling this thing underneath them. We're gonna start with you giving the rehab center a call, and it takes a little bit for someone to answer, but after a moment, someone picks up the phone and the phone, so to speak, and says, "This is Jerry at the rehab center. How can I help you?"
Hello, I just arrived on World not too long ago, and as I'm headed to my house, I ran into some kind of creature that seems to be injured, and I'm hoping that somebody from your center can come out and help me out with transporting this creature. It seems to be injured, and it's resting on some of the buildings and causing some damage, and it seems like but it's large. We need some equipment to help move this, to help move it. I don't even know what kind of creature it is. Perhaps you are familiar with it, and I ask if there's a way that I can send a picture.
Certainly, I'll send you our contact information. And by the looks of things, you are in, looks like Poseidon Avenue. Okay, cool. I can see about sending at least a medical team over there to check on it really quick. And in the background, by the way, you also hear someone say, "Hey, I know that voice. Hey, Doc, Aradex, hey." And you hear kind of a scuffle next to the receiver of whatever this thing is, and you actually hear an old friend of yours, someone you probably went to school with while you were local, and they say, "Hey, I hear it's Dr. Aradex now. How are things going?"
Oh my gosh, I recognize that voice anywhere.
What can I say? We have the random family just do very well with that, don't we? Yeah, no, Joe Random. Good to meet you.
Joe, how long has it been? Yeah, I've been off world for years.
Yeah, 6 years at least, if memory serves.
That's right.
And how many of those years were you a popsicle? Remind me, like 2?
At least, transport there, transport back.
Fun times. Lucky you get to go off world every once in a while. Well, I hear you've got a big critter over there. Here, let me send you the contact information. You get a quick notification of a Dropbox of sorts that you can send your footage to.
All right, so I'm gonna send it, and I mean I'm gonna try and describe it too, and it's large. I mean, give me a sense of how big we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about the car size. Are we talking about like school bus size? Are
we're talking about something that's school bus size, but definitely a lot longer, especially with the tentacles.
Got it.
That's
so this is not something that I've been away for a while, but this is not something that I'm familiar with. Is this a local creature? Have you seen this before?
Wow, that's a big one. Okay, yeah, we've heard some reports as people go out farther and settle down in the depths. These are some of the larger Leviathan class creatures that live in that area. Mostly harmless. Never actually gotten to see one this close. Looks like, is that an injury there? Did you patch our friend up over there?
I did my best. I mean, I have a small kit, but that's all I can do. I mean, I can cover the injury, but I can't attempt to mend it.
All right. Well, we'll take care of that once we get over there. I'm gonna put you in touch with one of the cargo operators over there. They should have a submarine big enough to give you some transport capability. Just give them a few minutes. Anyway, Doc, good to see you. Hopefully we'll get to catch up while you're here at some point.
Joe, it was great to hear from you.
All right. Be safe.
All right. Take care.
A few minutes later, you see a large yellow submarine just pull up nearby, drop off what looks like 3 shipping containers just on the ground nearby, and come to a stop, kind of hovering over the creature. The creature you see it shift and look up at it warily for a moment, but it doesn't really make any moves to get away or anything like that. And when the hatch for the submarine opens, someone in a environmental suit jumps into the water and swims over to you, and their suit speaker crackles to life, and the rather burly and gruff looking guy inside says, all right, I guess we're moving a giant squid.
Yeah, I mean, I try and this creature seems to have an injury, and we need to take it to the rehabilitation center. I've tried to seal up its wounds, but it's got a pretty soft body. Hopefully you have some kind of soft straps we can use to.
I mean, the best I can do is maybe my tarp hold. The tough part's gonna be getting this thing onto the tarp and then lifting it. I mean, I'm more than happy to try, but it's we could try.
I mean, I think if we can lash it to the sub and use the tarp to just kind of act like a hammock.
We could do that. If you want to go round up some volunteers, we can maybe lift a couple of spots underneath this creature, get a couple of straps under there, lift it up just enough to get the tarp underneath, and we'll be golden.
Excellent. All right, so I'm gonna swim around and see if there are people passing around, and try and grab a couple of volunteers and say, hey, I'm a doctor. We've got an injured creature here. I need some help, moving it. I mean, at this point, I mean, I guess, are there any officials from the city who've shown up? I mean, I was trying to call.
There are a couple people from the local security force who've shown up to try to mostly control the crowd that's around and keep people from getting too close and interacting with something they don't understand. One of them is more than happy to give you a hand, and a couple of other people from the crowd also do. But for the most part, the only civil servants there are law enforcement trying to just maintain a semblance of order. So yeah, it takes a little bit. It's not easy to move this creature. It seems to have some inkling that you are trying to help it, so it's not resisting, but it's still really heavy. Even underwater, with water helping how it does and help things float, it's still non-trivial getting these first 4 straps or so underneath the creature. When you do, you're in contact with the with the sub driver, the driver of the yellow submarine, and you, on your signal, he just starts winching it up very, very, very slowly. It's apparent that this guy's done something like this before, so he's trying to be as gentle as he can be.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm gonna continue to help, and once we get it sort of lashed on, I'm gonna hitch a ride to the rehab center. I'm gonna call, and on the way, I'm gonna call my family and or message them and let them know that I will be late.
Okay. They fully understand. They suspect something weird's going on, so it's fine. Yeah, the tarp's in place, and after another 10-15 minutes, it's secure. And the truck driver pops his head out of the airlock of his submarine and just says, "You coming, or just I assume I just take this to the dock?"
I'm gonna go in through the hatch and right along.
Okay, and because you're on a water world and you're not necessarily wearing a spacesuit on board the submarine, this guy's an heirloom human, so he has a oxygenated environment. You're able to essentially hold your breath for a little while, and it's not that much of a journey. But you're in O2, you're in air, so it's very cold, and you're not necessarily comfortable. He turns the sub around and starts piloting it toward the rehabilitation center. And quick question from Yang IP. Yang, this is definitely not on Earth. This is a water world somewhere, so the gravity's definitely going to be different. Also, water does weird things when you're lifting stuff in it. So,
right. I mean, there's some buoyancy, so
yeah, buoyancy with a sea creature. It kind of helps you, but doesn't. So yeah, you arrive at the words.
Wildlife Center,
yes,
Rehabilitation Center.
The Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, this giant dome nestled in a canyon just outside the town. And you go through an airlock, and you are, waterlock technically, and you're in essentially just a blank containment area. It's got a little bit of natural plant life and a sandy floor, and the sub driver just lowers down the sea creature and says, "Well, I'm not gonna make us go through taking the tarp. Just let them know to give it back to me when they're done with it."
I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, we're guests here, so I'm just trying to do the right thing here.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm gonna swim around and help undo the tarp and take it off, and let the creature separate it from the sub, and look around for Joe and the other staff members.
All right. Joe is actually waiting there for you. He is very excited to see this thing he's only seen in pictures before, and he just he's cephalopod dominant just like you, and he just swims over, slaps you on the back, and says, "Hey, great to see you in the person for once, and you're bringing me a special friend too. This is always wonderful."
Absolutely. Well, I like to arrive with style.
You always have, and you're always bringing new things. I mean, what was it? You found that like neurotoxin laced sea slug that one time and decided to
Hey,
bring it to show and tell.
we were able to isolate that neurotoxin and create a medication from that. So, it's you never know what you're going to find.
Saving the universe for the last 2 decades. That's our doc for you. All right. Well, well, don't worry about us. We handle this all the time. So say hi to the family for me. Of course, the randoms are always happy to host whenever you guys have a get together. So just let me know. We'll be around. I'll probably be here till midnight though. We all know this.
Excellent. Well, if there's anything I can do, you have my number. Let me know.
Will do. Just fill out the first encounter report like you always used to, and send that up. We'll see what happens.
Excellent. All right. Well, so I'll stop off at the main office and start writing out an explanation of what happened, what went down.
All right, and that's, as far as you're aware, that's pretty much where you think it gets left off. You fill out the report, you send it off. It presumably gets sent off world as well, and you get kind of back to business as usual. You spend some time with family. You catch up a little bit, and you kind of start deciding what. Nope.
Sorry, I have family around, so I'm just trying to.
You're good. You're good.
You're fine. I was trying not to distract you. I'm listening.
Okay. So yeah, you're kind of figuring out what you want to do next now that you are a PhD holding doctor of many things. And what was after graduation? What was the doc's original plan?
Well, not to come back home. I mean, I love my home and I love my family, but having grown up in a small community, my goal was to explore, go to get out on the frontier. I mean, part of the reason I took the classes I did in medical school is because I wanted to become a field medic and explore the universe.
All right. Well, you're kind of, I'm gonna say you're kind of looking for jobs on survey craft and just survey missions to other worlds where no one's ever been before. And it's a long list. You're pretty much perpetually in interviews and sending in resumes and CVs and that sort of thing. When on one of these days, when you're kind of just doing business as usual, a few days after this initial event, you receive a page on the door to your office.
A page on the door?
Yeah, someone paging Dr. Aranax.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Who is it?
The door opens, and someone in a EVA suit steps in. He's kind of shorter, a little round around the edges, and through the helmet, you can still tell that he's definitely balding. He's got glasses on, and from what you can tell, he seems to have a red uniform underneath this EVA suit. And he just glances around the room, looks at you, and says, Dr. Aranax, I presume.
You're in the right place. What can I do for you?
Well, let me introduce myself first. I'm Major Ram Dasi. I'm the team lead for the Away Team Initiative for the Endurance mission. Have you heard of us by any chance?
No, I can't say that I have.
It makes sense. It's fairly early on in its development, but Endurance. I'll give you the lowdown here. The Endurance is a long-term, long-distance colony mission, and as the commanding officer of the Away Team Initiative, it's my job to come up with the best of the best, who are going to be essentially the first boots on the ground on any planet or installation we come across. And recent events came to my desk, and my ship happened to be in the area, and we diverted to your homeworld here. And I kind of wanted to offer you a job.
Oh, excellent. Well, I've been applying for positions, and I've been looking for something just like this. Tell me a little bit about the other folks who are like who you have on your team already, and tell me a little bit about the mission of the Endurance.
Well, tell you who's on the team. The team is about 150 strong, so that would be quite a long conversation. I can tell you that they're from all walks of life. We have security personnel, we have ex-soldiers, we have medical technicians, scientists, engineers, the whole gamut, and an equal variety of talents and egos to go with it. So, really, though, these are the best out of our colonist pool, and we are also seeking out unique talent to add to them. We have a dare I say, genius AI operator and some seriously talented pilots who we've actually gone out to recruit. And, you know, same goes in this case. You're in a similar vein, because there hasn't been a contact of a creature the size of what you came across that went well in the better part of 5 decades. So,
oh, well, I had no idea.
Well, most of the time it ends up going poorly because someone panics or does something that they're not supposed to. The way you handled the situation really piqued our interest at the program, and it's why specifically I'm here talking to you now. If possible, I mean, we'd like you to join the Endurance mission, because the Endurance mission is getting humanity out of our local neighborhood, for lack of a better description. I say long term, long distance. I'm not kidding. Chances are, when you go on this mission, you're not coming back for a good several centuries at least.
Centuries? Oh my gosh.
Well, the Endurance herself is a very big ship. We can't warp drive technology being what it is. We can manage maybe 1.5 to 2 times C if we're lucky. But the trade-off is we're able to transport about 100,000 people at once, which is what we need if we're going to establish a colony dozens, if not hundreds of light years from here. And that is our goal, to set up a human foothold on the other side of the galaxy, essentially.
Interesting. Well, it sounds like something that I'm interested in. Absolutely. I mean, I've always been interested in exploring, and this sounds like just the kind of mission that I'm looking for.
All right. Well, we will. You can, of course, come with me right now, but if you've got some affairs you'd like to sort out before disappearing for a couple of centuries.
This is all happening very quickly.
Yeah. Just when you are ready and you have your affairs where you want them to be, send us a message. We are based on Earth. Won't be hard to find us.
Excellent. Aside, how far is Earth? How long is the?
I'm going to assume that your education came from Earth, so it's another year that way.
Oh, so I have to go back to the.
Pretty much. You might not have been educated on Earth itself, but certainly in the nearby neighborhood.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to stay. I just got home, so I'm going to stick around for a little while. When are you departing?
Probably not for another 10 years. It takes a long time to build a ship the size of the Endurance. But within 10 years is what we're planning.
Got it. Sounds good. So no hurry.
No hurry. I think the only thing I'd want to let you know is I call dibs. If the science team tries to get a hold of you, please think of the away team first. That's all I ask.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate the offer. Send me, why don't you, send me a communication with all the information, and I will, start packing.
Sounds good. See you on Earth, and well, he does some mental math. I want to say about a year, but I won't be awake for half of it. So see you in a couple of months.
Got it.
All right, and with that, he leaves. And is there anything else that the doc would do prior to setting out on this voyage, aside from, let family and friends know and all of that?
I guess, I mean, I would, I'm gonna visit as many people as I can. I just came from Earth, so I don't have a lot of stuff. But I guess I'd try and do some research on the endurance mission and the goals, and see if there's any additional skills or training that I could work on. I mean, I assume this is the transport to Earth is in stasis.
Yes. Stasis is a pretty common practice unless you're willing to stay up the entire year or so it might take.
Got it. So look, do some research on the mission. I guess I want to know what my job would be for the next 10 years, or am I going to be are they just going to put me in stasis and leave me there until the endurance leaves? I mean, what's the protocol?
You get the sense a lot of the programs that are currently underway are in fairly early stages. They're doing a lot of procedure development, they're doing a lot of training, and you suspect, just by looking at what's going on, you would be probably tasked with giving more members of the away team a general understanding of emergency medicine. You are one of several doctors, medical doctors, who have emergency medical skills, and that's pretty much it. There are a couple of other medics here and there, and a couple people who have some first aid experience, but not to the same level that you do. So you suspect that would be one of the things you do.
Getting into the program this early on, I mean, is definitely something that is of interest to me. Are there any other physicians that I recognize? I mean, are there any colleagues that are on the mission? Am I one of the first? Am I the first? What are we talking here?
You are not the first. However, you're the only person of your experience level and study on the away team itself. When you look into the general medical staff who are slated to be aboard the Endurance, you recognize a couple people who actually taught you at some point. You recognize a few classmates, some upperclassmen, some lowerclassmen as well. You recognize a few names here and there, but it's also a very large medical staff. So you're seeing a majority of names that you don't really recognize.
Got it.
Beyond that, there are some famous names. You recognize a couple of the people who I have yet to name from Alpha Team. These are people whose exploits you've heard of over the HoloNet for at least the last decade. And there are a couple of odd celebrities here and there, and famous engineers and physicists who are going along too.
Which makes sense for a crew of 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess before I leave, I want to check in with the rehabilitation center and see if there's any news on the creature and find out what happened.
Okay. You return to the rehab center and you find your buddy Joe standing at the observation window to this pen that they've been keeping the creature in. And he looks up and says, good to see you. How are things going, Doc?
Excellent. I've just been recruited to head on a new colonization mission. So I'm taking off. I'm heading off world again, probably forever. Anyway, for the foreseeable future.
Alrighty. Well, good for you, I guess. Hello, goodbye, in a lot of ways. Well, good luck on that. That's quite the adventure right there. I'm assuming you're here to check on Big Betty over here.
Absolutely, yes. I wanted, we had quite an adventure together, so I wanted to see how she, it sounds like, is doing.
I mean, right now, preliminary research tells us that the creature's probably female, although who knows? They may reproduce asexually. We have no idea. And as you're talking, the creature kind of just swims past, and just observes you for a second before going back around the other side of the tank. And Joe says, "Yeah, everything seems to be going just fine. She's making a better recovery than we were ever expecting." If I can say, if you hadn't been there to seal up these wounds and do that little bit of sterilization you did, she might not be doing so well. So nicely done, Doc.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad she's recovering, and if you can send me updates, it'd be great to see when she's healthy enough to be released.
Will do. I'll send you network updates as we go. Oh, before I forget, he reaches down to the seafloor next to him, because you're essentially just separated by a wall from the rest of the pen, picks up a rock and pulls out an underwater marker and just writes "Joe was here" and hands it to you and says, "Wherever you guys settle, would you mind just dropping this somewhere?"
Absolutely. I'll take it with me.
I mean, I'll probably long be in the biosphere, but I mean, still, I like the idea that something I wrote on ends up, thousands of light years away from here.
Absolutely. I'll take it and put it in my pocket, and wish him a good day.
All right. He wishes you luck, and you move on, presumably, to your future as part of the away team. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the Doc ends up as part of our mission. And Matthew, thanks for hanging out for this this one-on-one backstory adventure.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to see you, and anybody who's on with us, thanks for joining.
And stay tuned, because in just a moment I will have Vicky here, and we'll be going over Kai's backstory too.
Excellent. Well, take care and have a great rest of your afternoon.
You as well, Matthew. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
And now I will madly type to the Vicky. There we go. Alrighty. There, okay. All right. So just me. Vicky's going to be here in just a moment. So how's everyone doing, chat? Seems like a smooth day for me. I'm glad to hear it, Yang. I'm glad to hear it. The internet can be weird. For me, it's oddly smooth, because normally I'd have like a million little notifications at the bottom of Streamlabs when I'm hosting, and it would say, "Oh no, things are going crazy." We shall see. All right. So how is everyone's day going? Hopefully good, hopefully wonderful. Let's see. Things and stuff. Oh, there she is. And it turns out Zoom is updating. Anyone who's ever used Zoom, every once in a while when you start up Zoom, it decides it must update. Here she is. Why, hello.
Hello. Oh, there we go. I think that audio should be better. Wait a second. Hold on. Wait a second.
Stand by.
Okay.
There
you are.
Hello. I panicked because I opened Zoom, even though I prepared beforehand, and it was like, "You ready for some updates?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." But I think
I feel
got
ya.
handled.
I feel ya. Okay, so I'm gonna just put this out there right now. Obviously, this is gonna be a longer stream than usual.
Yes,
Just
definitely.
saying.
I have 10 minutes to do my part.
No. Yeah. No. I'm not gonna force you to do that. So, um, go ahead and introduce your character for us really quick.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, my name is it's weird to not do my intro and knowing that we're on stream, but my name is Victoria, but you can call me Vicky. But today you can call me Kai because my name is Kypris Maliani. My character is a heirloom human variant, which means she's just a classic old human. And she is the pilot for the this away team group that we've been playing with for a couple months now. So that's the basics, but I'm sure we're going to be getting into more than basics today.
Oh yes, we will be. So where I'm gonna start, we're always kind of starting at home, it would seem. So we all know that not Vicky. This is gonna happen to me now. We all know that Kai grew up on a water world, yes. And it was a place with some familiar beings. We are finding out some beings that are very similar to the Mardim, who we've only heard references to so far. We've seen maybe fuzzy hologram images of what they look like in this part of the galaxy, and that's the world that Kai grew up in. What was it like growing up essentially eternally in I'm picturing eternally just, life in the Caribbean constantly for your character.
Yeah. I mean, the weather was amazing, obviously. Very different from, I think, I don't know if if you've established what Earth looked like when we left kind of thing. But I believe on this planet, everything was kind of, like you said, like very Caribbean, very tropical, because everything's water. And I imagine also like the area where she lived is probably closer to like what that planet's equator would be on. So it would be a little bit warmer,
Yeah.
So yeah, just
very large tourist population.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, I would say so.
People who exist in stasis for 5 years just to get here and then party for a couple of weeks, then travel another 5 years back to wherever they came from.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of that. So, I mean, the weather was very nice. The environment she grew up in, as far as like home life and stuff, was very interesting. Do you want me to get into it now, or do we explore it? I don't know what you have planned.
We can start to get into it a little bit.
You ask me questions. You lead me along.
I will. So I'm going to say this is more or less close to the end of your time on World, and your family has put into effect, because, fun fact, Kai's family more or less control this world. Yeah. They've put into effect some serious restrictions on what the natives are allowed to do. And the natives are the same species we keep running into, apparently, across time and space. And they're putting restrictions on them. They're putting restrictions on where they can be seen, what they can do. They're essentially, you translate it, and a bunch of your friends within the same age group translate it as essentially turning this species who was there first into essentially a serving class.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, while this is a thing that's happening at this point, right, in Kai's life, it's been, as it often is when, let's call it what it is, colonization happens, and people are terrible. They've been the how do you say it again?
Relegated to a servant class, essentially.
Oh no, the native race.
Oh, Mardim.
On that. Mardem. Okay, thank you. I wanted to say Maliani, and that's my last name, and I'm like, that's not right.
Not quite.
But the Mardem, I think, were like being pushed into these like, oh yeah, and you guys should be like the working class because we're the rich ones now, haha, and we have the artillery because we brought it from Earth, and we can do whatever we want, and you guys should serve. So like Kai has been used to seeing a lot of this, but is also quite young. Still, she's a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, and yeah, but that's like it's been a building thing. It's not just like a today.
Yeah, and whoa, I'm muting that right now.
What happened?
Oh, just system notification. It was great. Just
Oh,
all of a
no.
sudden. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, this has probably been building for you for the last between 5 and 8 years for Kai, and you've probably tried to either do something or persuade people to change their minds, change how they're handling it. None of that seems to really work. So
Yeah, I don't know. So I've been thinking about this a lot because I know we were approaching this. I think Kai had like knew what was going on. And she was young, so that's a little bit of an excuse, but also I think she has been raised in a very comfortable place and hasn't really, it like knows that there's things going on that are bad, but has not wanted to approach them until now, very recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
maybe she talks with her school friends and it's like, that doesn't seem super chill, but like, has never approached her parents about it, kind of thing.
Okay. This is not going where I was expecting it to, but okay.
Throwing you curveballs, but you can.
I can do it. So
I'm just saying, in recent times, she's been like, maybe we should do something about this.
Yeah, and it's you've maybe made some inroads here and there and tried to start turning things around. However, you get the sense, and Kai isn't stupid. Kai listens to what's going on around her and probably has a bit of a network that informs her as to what is going on.
Outside her bubble, yes.
Outside your bubble. Among the rich and powerful, which is generally a group that Kai knows that she should probably keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And there have been rumblings, and not good ones. And this came to your attention because one of your friends came over and just, handed you a note because they didn't dare say anything because people are listening all the time. And the note essentially said, this isn't something really wrong is coming. You should probably get off world.
And so we're picking up there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And this is just a hastily scribbled note with it's got a file name on it and a time index.
A file name?
A file name and a time index.
Okay. Do I recognize the file name? Well, not recognize, but like, is it a path name or like just a straight file? Like
yes,
document one.
It's a path name, and
okay.
You recognize it as a audio format.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm gonna go try to pull that up on. I imagined in my little, was this when I was leaving school or something? Where my friend's like, "Hey, Kai,"
yeah.
And then he goes to a picture and runs.
Yeah, kind of. It was probably a lot more awkward than that. Hey, Kai, I'm here, and then run away as fast as they possibly can. So yeah, you. How do you access it?
Well, I think Kai knows. Kai is not a programmer like Leaf or anything.
Yeah, like a certain elf human we know.
Yeah. Can we argue that she was at school? Let's say she was at school.
Yeah. I mean, this was
right
after school, so you could probably just run back in.
Great. Okay. My parents have some sort of limo driver, and I'm like, He can wait for a minute. And I walk over and I'm like, hi, what's his name? Hey, Ronaldo. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I totally forgot something in my locker. I'll be right back. Okay.
Whatever you say, Miss Baliana.
Thanks. She throws her backpack in and runs inside.
Okay.
And goes to the whatever the futuristic equivalent of a computer lab is.
I mean, it's still a computer lab. It's just your interface is different. You've got, instead of your standard mouse and keyboard, you actually have either full-on touchscreens or a projected hologram in front of you that you tap and do stuff to. So
cool.
Much more advanced, very, very fancy, shall we say.
I'm going to go in one of the corners. I don't think there's a lot of people there, maybe a couple students that are finishing up work before they go home or something, but slide in, give a little hi to the professor, and then just like, as if it's super chill. Just got to check my email. Totally forgot. I was supposed to meet someone at school. Got to check my email.
All right. So you open it up, find the file, and do you start the file from the beginning, or do you just go to the time index?
I'll go, how big's the file? How long is it?
It is several hours long.
It's gonna go to the intended time. I'm also gonna put on headphones if that wasn't clear.
Okay.
Kai's not new to this.
Okay, you put on headphones and you go to that time index, and the first thing you hear is the sound of China on China, and then someone slurp, and then someone putting their cup back down on something China, and someone clears their throat and says, "Okay, listen. What exactly are we going to do about the present situation? There's a rabble that appears to be rousing, and we that's bad for business." You hear another voice. This one, the first one was male. This one's female. Well, I don't know. Perhaps we could persuade the interested parties. I mean, I'm sure if we spoke to the governor and governess, they could speak to their daughter and maybe talk some sense into her. I would not count on that from what I've been hearing. Well then, what should we do instead? There's another slurp on the mug, and then it gets put back in its saucer. There are other options, I suppose. A change in management, perhaps. And you hear a door beyond open, and your friend's voice. Oh, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Sorry, can I I forgot my backpack in here. Can I borrow it, please? And then there's the sound of something rumbling and rustling, and a door closed, and you hear just someone exhale and say, "Shit." And then it's just the sound of what it would sound like if you were something recording buried in someone's backpack.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I will echo my friend's statement and also say, shit. And I pause it and I erase, I don't know how I accessed this file, Grant. Was it on a flash drive?
It was in a protected space somewhere in the internet. You had the path to get to it, so you were able to access it.
So I'll delete all the history real quick off that computer, and then grab my little thing and act like everything's totally fine and be like, "Thanks, Professor, whoever. See you later." And then I wave to one of my classmates. "Oh, bye, Roger." Whatever. Head out and hop in the car.
Okay. And
I'm panicking.
What was his name? Roberto or something?
Roberto, yeah.
Says, "Where to, miss? Home?" And he perpetually just has this expression on the entire time.
Yes. As all limo drivers do. Actually, do you think we can go to the marina?
Why, of course. Anything special planned today? The limo immediately starts moving.
Okay. Just wanted to do a little bit of shopping around. It's Mom's birthday in a few weeks, so I just want to start getting things ready,
Okay. Very well, very well. Do you wish to listen to the local radio, your personal playlist? Can I put on one of the holovids for you by any chance?
Just whatever you want. Radio's fine.
Very well, miss. He reaches forward, presses a button. The the window between you and the driver's cab goes up, and just some random reggae just starts randomly playing.
Random reggae. Love it.
It just starts playing. Apparently, it was the first thing he found.
Kai's not listening to it. Don't worry. Okay, so
You do have the equivalent of a cell phone for the time.
Yeah.
So, and you're also, again, Kai's not stupid. You know that this thing can be tracked, so your time probably using it is limited, you suspect.
Yeah. I would imagine we have some sort of encrypted apps, though.
You do
Some WhatsApp.
yeah. You do have a very expensive app that is a very expensive monthly subscription that your family uses to communicate.
Oh, I'm not talking to my family.
You also have other people in contact with you.
Good.
Yes, many other people.
Yeah. You can tell okay, we should have discussed this beforehand, but because I don't want to keep throwing curveballs at you, but I think I'm going to say I'm going to send a quick message to okay, so you said the governor.
The governor and governess are your parents.
Yes. So the other people that were talking, who are apparently other officials.
Mm-hmm. Your friend, you know this friend fairly well. You know what their family does. You know the who's who of this world.
Yeah.
They're very influential.
Yeah. I think I'm going to call my friend. Not call. I'm going to message my friend who has been helping me lately. My latest venture in trying to spread the word without attaching my name to it as much as possible. But people follow me around, so it's hard. Is distributing pamphlets of some sort, being to the Mardem, being like, "Hey, don't take this. There's so much better things. Maybe look into these opportunities. We have night classes where you can learn about politics and stuff like that, and how to take down this." Basically saying how to take down the system, but thinly veiling it, and these are normal college classes kind of things. And helping with that. I'm messaging the person that is in charge of that and being like, "Hey, SOS, meet me at the marina ASAP."
Okay. The message a moment later gets a red tag, but there's no response.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else you attempt to contact beyond this one person?
I mean, I'll send a text to mom and dad and just be like, "Hey, I'm going to be a little late. I'm meeting," and this is some random friend that they like, Stacy, to go shopping.
Okay.
So.
All right. You get the usual messages about, okay, don't stay out too late, etc., and don't spend too much money. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay. And Roberto pulls up to the marina, the special entrance where people such as you offload from their cars, and says, "We have arrived, Miss Maliana. Is there anything else I can provide?"
I don't think so. She grabs her backpack and she's like, "If you want to go, you can take yourself off the clock and stuff, go get dinner or something. We'll probably be here for a little while. So I'll give you a call whenever we're ready to leave."
"As you wish, miss." And the limo pulls away.
Okay.
And
wait, actually I yell out, "Do you want any pretzels? Let me get you a soft pretzel."
The limo's already pulling away.
Okay. I'll get you one anyway. I know you like the pizza one.
So yeah, you're at the marina, and you definitely smell the ocean air. And it's, pretty high scale. You know where the marina starts, and there are multiple sections to it. You're in the shopping section right next to the private docks where all of the really nice catamarans and yachts and submarines are located. But there are also other docks farther down that are more working class, dare I say.
That's where I'm going. I'm actually, no, that's a lie. I'm going to go into a store.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go, it's just some clothing store, right? Go into one of the, grab like a shirt off the rack, go into one of the changing rooms. And when I know that there's no camera around, throw on the wig that I have in my backpack because I have pink hair. So that's not super helpful. Actually, no, I don't have pink hair right now. I throw on a pink wig because I have whatever other color hair. I throw on a pink wig, some sunglasses, and like a big old hat. Change my shirt. Not to the one off the rack. I had other clothes. Because I never know when this kind of stuff's going to happen, you know? When you're a rebel, you got to be ready.
so you essentially have a bug out bag just with you all the time.
It's okay, Grant. It's a wig. And like it's probably a beanie or something, right? It's like small stuff. So the wig's the only big part. The wig, a beanie, so sunglasses that I carry anyway, and just another shirt.
So like an anti-paparazzi kit.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So that's what we'll call it. So you, having donned your anti-paparazzi kit, exit the.
I head back out, and then I go to the working class docks, as you call them.
Okay. Pretty much as soon as you exit through the shields that separate that area from the more expensive area, you get not just the sea air, now you just get overwhelmed by the smell of fish. And it's just like it hits you like a wall of bricks. It's crazy. And do you have a specific spot that you normally meet with this person? Or is it just look for the slightly out of place person who's wearing a pink wig?
No, I think there is a boat. There's a boat that we have that is kind of like I don't know. It's probably maybe it's the person that I contacted's boat. It's not a nice one, but it at least has like a lower it's a small boat. It has a lower air. Maybe they're a fisher. I don't know. And so there's like a little meeting place on like the underneath.
Let's
that
say
you wouldn't be able to tell.
It's kind of a maintenance submarine.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that's designed to go underwater and repair stuff down there. So yeah, you know the passcode to get in. You climb down, and you kind of just wait in the cockpit. And at this point in Kai's life, how familiar is she with piloting things?
I don't know. I think pretty familiar. I think it's like kind of like a learning to drive thing. Okay. But there's not really roads because most of the planet is underwater. So it's learning to drive a submarine or sometimes fly small craft to the land masses because sometimes that's quicker. Okay.
Yang just
I don't think she has a lot of practice. I don't know. How old is she? You think like 16, 17?
Somewhere around there, probably.
Yeah. So she's newer to it, but I think she also got started early. Okay. A little bit of a daredevil, you know?
Okay. So you've probably been piloting various things for a while. You might be more familiar with watercraft than aircraft just because of where you live, but your family's loaded, so you probably have some air skimmers that you've had some fun just flying over the open expanse of the ocean on occasion, which is probably for the best because there's not much to hit. Yeah. So that's probably what you've been doing. Oh, and Yang redeemed posture check.
Oh, thank you, Yang.
So yeah, you wait, and a few minutes later, you hear the hatch open. And someone climb into the sub with you. And when I'm going to say for the time being, the sub's probably dark with the exception of maybe a little bit of light from the setting sun filtering in through the cockpit. So you don't quite see them until they flip the lights in the crew compartment on. And this is your friend. They go by Zen. They are a reptilian dominant human. And not necessarily someone you've been to school with personally, because you go to one of the nicer schools. But they're in the same age range as you. And only instead of just going to school, they also, this is their work vehicle. So when they're not at school, they're usually here or sleeping here, essentially, is what is their life. And Zen just glances at you and says, you know, the wig doesn't really do it. The pink might, but the wig doesn't.
I know. I'm working on it, okay?
So
the
what's...
platinum blonde is sticks out a little bit, so.
You're telling me bright orange scales doesn't exactly shout undercover, does it? So what exactly is it that's so urgent?
Well, I think somebody's plotting to off my parents, possibly. I don't know if this, maybe I'm being over dramatic. I don't know. You tell me. But they said...
I'm assuming Kai's just starting to just talk.
Yeah. But they said like, you know, maybe there should be the I don't know who these people are. We're going to call them the Duke and Duchess. Okay. The Duke and Duchess of Terrytown, whatever. But the Duke and Duchess, you know, Ashley's parents, she got a recording of them and they were talking about some changing of the guard or some stuff like that. I don't remember what they exactly said, but it was like it didn't sound great. It sounded like, hey, if we can't get this girl to shut up, maybe we just her parents. So like, that's not sick. And I don't know what happens to me. And I'm not the biggest fan of my parents. Love mom and dad. Hate what they've been doing. Really don't like that. But like, I don't.
Zen,
you know what I mean?
Zen kind of is just listening and nodding and like leaning against the bulkhead as you just essentially verbal diarrhea all over the submarine right now. And
I'm panicking. Yeah.
and they say, well, that's some heavy stuff. Have you warned your parents by any chance, or?
No, because I found out about this half an hour ago, and they don't even know that it's me.
Right.
They don't even know that I'm the one that... I don't know how the Duke and Duchess found out. I mean, I do, but my parents don't look at the news. So.
Yeah, facial recognition is about a 300-year-old technology, Kai.
Well, I try.
Sunglasses don't exactly do it.
My parents are very gullible, and I keep them away from the pop magazines so they don't see anything. It was a perfect plan. They're too busy.
Well, I assume you want my 2 cents worth.
Yes. Yes, please.
There are only a couple of options I can see. You stay here, bad things happen to you and your parents, probably. But you leave, that variable leaves too. I don't like the idea. I like having you around. You're great. But if anything, you're too high profile, and this makes things
Then we've talked about this though. If I leave, you guys don't have access to everything in the capital. You lose that. We need that information. We need to know where people are going. We need to know what's moving from Earth to here. They're stockpiling stuff. I don't know what they're planning on doing, but this whole thing about making you guys some sort of second-class citizen, they're not gonna like take no for an answer.
well,
We have to get ready for it. I can't leave.
I don't see any other alternative that leaves you alive. I mean, I'm not gonna mince my words with you here. We've all seen how the Duke and Duchess operate. Ashley's fine, Ashley's safe, they're not gonna do anything to her, but you, they don't give a shit. Forgive me. And as far as the rest of us, human beings and non-humans have found a way through this time and time again, planet after planet. I mean, trust me, I study my history, I read it, I tend to memorize it. An eidetic memory is useful for that, but we will figure it out. It might not be pleasant, but we will figure it out.
Could be. We figured out part of it already. We've got plans. We've got stuff prepared. We've got safety measures ready because of the stuff that I was able to get from the Capitol. I still have the card that I can play of like just straight up begging my parents. Maybe, I don't know.
Have you been paying attention to the news lately?
I mean, it's finals, so not really, to be honest.
Well, there are some advantages to being at a different school than you, I guess. The Duke and Duchess have already made a move. They've called an executive board meeting. It's happening tomorrow. And I can tell you, they are not going to take prisoners. The executive board probably has already been told of your exploits, and do you know how many credits are on the line if everything goes crazy here? It's not just the Duke and Duchess you have to worry about, is my point. I doubt...
But then what was it all for? We've been... I can shoot a gun now. You taught me. Like, maybe I can defend myself and my parents. I'm sure my dad's done some weird stuff in his past. Like, I'm sure he can handle himself. And my mom is very fragile, but you know...
and what about everything, that list that you gave us? Did you read the manifests coming off of those ships, or did you just look at the top line? It's not just barricades, Kai. It's not just simple security measures and bolstering the security personnel. Those are weapons. They're explosives. I read through the entire thing. There's nothing you or I can really do. We can start a resistance, sure, but how long until... How long? I mean, how long until they use someone you know as bait or leverage? We already see it happen on my end of the marina.
So you're saying I just leave?
You remove yourself as leverage, they lose their figurehead. We are able to suddenly melt back into the background and keep doing our work. I don't like saying it, because you have been invaluable. You've put this together. But I don't want to see...
Come with me. Come on, Zen. You really think if they know that it's me, that they don't know that it's you?
You make a good point. And then who takes over?
I don't know. George, maybe.
George can barely figure out a shipping manifest, let alone feed himself.
What about Lily? Lily's good with numbers.
Yeah, Lily's good with numbers of boyfriends.
Okay. Well, she can manage things, clearly. You're gonna make me leave alone? Where am I even supposed to go?
I don't know. There is the starport. Find a ship leaving, and a ship. Drop your name. They'll let you on board. I'm willing to bet.
That doesn't. Probably can't drop my name if I have to go off the grid. Zen.
You have a certain amount of time, I suspect, before they put any plan they have into motion.
Yes.
Listen,
Alright.
I will get you. I will get you there. The submarine can make it and back. I make no promises whether I'm coming with you, but I will at least get you to the starport, okay?
Okay.
Do you need anything, or are you good to go?
How soon did you say that meeting was?
First thing tomorrow morning. And Zen glances out the viewport at the front. The sun is already set.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Zen climbs past you into the pilot seat and gets the submarine underway. It's a good 6 hours to the starport, and when you get there, I mean, you're a gearhead, so you recognize a lot of the ships. These are generally interstellar craft that are coming in, dropping off. You see luxury liners, you see cargo ships, you see a wide array of craft. But that's in the area that you're used to. A little distance away, there's a definitely less upkept starport where you see more run-of-the-mill ships. You see ships that aren't factory fresh, that have been repaired 5 different times, that have engines from completely different starships welded onto them because something went wrong at some point. That's where Zen takes you. He ends up docking the submarine there and accompanying you to essentially the onboarding station, where the captains of these vessels are more or less informally just looking to see if anyone wants to book passage or anything like that. And Zen says, "Well, this is it, I guess. Any idea where you want to go? I see a couple heading for."
Any idea where you want to go? Because you're gonna come with me? Because you love me?
Zen's kind of just... You're having trouble reading Zen. And you're kind of used to that, the fact that, Zen kind of has to go a little overboard to get facial expressions across to you. Reptilian dominant, it's kind of hard with scales on your face. But he's especially unreadable right now. And for a moment, Zen just thinks and says, I really wish I could. I don't know if I can leave. With everything that's going on, I don't know if I can, in good conscience, leave this place.
Why are you making me? I know why. It's not you, but okay. Fine. I'm gonna hug you now. And then I hug Zen because I know Zen hates that, but I need a hug.
Yeah. Zen normally hates it, but he hugs you back. And it lasts a long time. I think you both are pretty sure that you're probably never going to see each other again.
Yeah.
And
then after the hug, I'm like, oh wait. And I grab because I still have my backpack on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pull out, when I was at the marina in that little shop, I always buy something because I feel bad if I walk into a store and take their time and don't buy something. That's me in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a little perfume set, little bow on it. And while we were in the submarine, because I'm definitely not doing this on stream, sorry Grant, I'm too fragile of a human being for this, but I wrote a note, which we'll never know what's on that note because I'm not going to talk about it, to my parents, and specifically my mom for her birthday, explaining what's going on. And, you know, I love them and everything, but also maybe, you know, don't be colonizers, whatever. And like, maybe I'll see you again kind of one day. And I'm just going to be like, obviously don't go to the palace, but Roberto's going to look for me at some point. Just give this to him to give to my parents.
I will.
Thanks.
Be safe out there, Kai. And you know, work on that piloting. You haven't almost crashed in over 6 months.
Okay, the piloting and the wig, those will be worked on, I promise.
Well, I'm terrible at goodbyes. Just, oh, for heaven's sake, just be safe, okay? All right, and with,
does he close the door on the sub? Bye.
yeah, pretty much. That's when Zen just turns around and walks back to the submarine.
Yeah. Bye, Zen. You're the best. I love you.
All right, and you're still at the terminal. You have to decide exactly where you're going, what you're doing.
I'm crying, by the way. Kai's just like, okay, this is fine. Everything's fine. She's just trying not to think about what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's just gonna look around a little bit. See, do they have like signs about where they're going and stuff, like an airport?
Kind of. More legible than an airport for aliens run by dogs. And there are a whole bunch of destinations. Ceres Prime is one of them. There's a direct line to Alpha Centauri B. There are also half a dozen for Earth and Mars and just the home solar system.
You know, I always wanted to go to Earth. Mom and Dad said it was nice. And then she walks up to whatever first Earth vessel she sees and asks the pilot if
the pilot is also an heirloom human. She's awfully short, but she's there with you. Looks like she's been flying for a very long time, and she just says, "Well, how you doing, young lady? Need to get to Earth?"
I do. And she pulls out a wad of cash that is definitely more than whatever the price for this ticket is. She says, and I would love it if you didn't recognize me.
Of course, I'm a big fan of you, Rita Hayworth. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard the Hawthorne. We're going to be taking off in about 20 minutes. So, do you have any luggage you're bringing with you?
Nope.
All right.
Just this.
All right. Well, it's gonna be a pretty quiet voyage. Just you, me. I'm your Captain Robin. Nice to meet you, by the way. And our chief engineer. She points at a very large and at a very burly and grumpy looking dwarf variant, and she just says, "That's Merle. I just don't talk to him about the good word, and you'll be fine."
I'm sorry, did you say Merle? Okay.
All right.
Kai doesn't react to that in the way that I just did. I just reacted to that because Grant and I are both big fans of the adventures.
I was trying to pull a name out of thin air, and that's the one that came to me.
It works.
So yeah, you are invited aboard the ship. It's in this case, it's a bit of a slow runner. They're making, the sign says direct to Earth, but they're actually making a couple of stops along the way to pick up cargo and stuff like that.
Aren't they always?
Yeah, and you also notice, much to your chagrin, there are no cryo bays, so you're going to be awake the entire time. So,
oh god.
So over the course of the time that you were on board the ship, you get to know your crewmates pretty well, and they actually pick up a couple more crewmates along the way because Captain Robin is a big softie apparently.
And I definitely, at some point, whenever we stop for this cargo, I am gonna get some more clothes and shit.
Well,
I'm not gonna wear the same thing for like however many years we're on this ship.
The captain figured that there was something going on, so she actually made sure you were taken care of beforehand. No, in a lot of ways, over the few years you were on board the Hawthorne, you become the Kai we begin to recognize. You become an excellent pilot. In fact, Captain Hawthorne teaches you half of what you know about piloting, including the by the seat of your pants maneuvering that you initially just makes you hold on white-knuckled to your seat as she brings the ship in through every conceivable danger you've ever seen. You get to know Merle a little bit. He's definitely grumpy, but he knows his way around a fusion reactor like you wouldn't believe. And he's, over the course of the couple of years you're with them, he rebuilds the engines like 5 times. So you gain all of your experience doing that, and that's where you learn to be a gearhead. That's where you learn to be a pilot. And by the time you reach Earth, you've been hearing about the Endurance mission the entire time, and you've also been sort of starting to make a name for yourself as the new pilot of the Hawthorne. And by the time you get there, Captain Robin says, well, here we are. Sorry, it took a little longer than expected, but if you want to stay on Earth, you're welcome to. If you want to come with us, you're also welcome to. I know that there's probably plenty of other stuff you'd rather be doing.
Honestly, I don't know if there is much other, but I mean, I guess this was where I had planned to go, so.
Well, listen, one piece of advice, if I may be so bold, just find somewhere completely new. I know Earth is completely new, but it's still got the hint of the familiar. Find something completely new and make that your thing. Because the sense I get is that's kind of what you need.
I think you're right.
All right. And she reaches up and rips a flyer off of a notice board nearby, and who knows? She hands it to you. Maybe this endurance mission is looking for pilots. You got my recommendation.
I've never had to write a CV before, but maybe if I can figure it out, they'll accept me.
Just do what I do. Walk in there, plop the pamphlet down in front of them, and say, "Hey, hire me." It works for me every time.
Okay. Why not?
Okay, and I think one last scene I've got here. So you arrive at the endurance mission headquarters. It's in almost. I got to set the scene a little bit. You have never been to a place like this before. For whatever reason, it is based in the northwestern part of North America. So we're talking like where Washington State used to be, and you're there during the rainy season. You have never seen a place this dark, this dismal, this depressing before, because you're used to just sunlight and just balmy 70 degrees and wonderful humidity, and it's just freezing cold. And I'm just going to play off of Kai's low wisdom score and say you didn't think to bring a jacket or have a jacket unpacked, so you just walk into the endurance mission offices completely soaked, and reach inside your jacket, which luckily is still somewhat dry, and pick up a half-soaked pamphlet for the endurance mission and slam it down on the desk.
I'm just looking like a sopping wet dog.
With pink
also
hair.
at some point during this mission, I did dye my hair pink. And I slap it down and I say, "Hello, you heard of the Hawthorne? I know how to pilot her. I've heard of endurance. Would you like me to pilot some stuff on her?"
And the receptionist just looks at it, looks at the pamphlet, looks up at you, and says, "Hi."
Also, do you have a hairdryer?
The sand station has got a drying function if you want to use that. Sure. You see someone kind of poke their head around the corner of a door behind the office, and it's labeled away team initiative lead. And the door opens, and a short, rather round, balding guy in a red uniform steps out and says, "What seems to be going on here? Are you okay, miss?"
I pick up the pamphlet. I turn to him. There's like a secretary thing, right? Like front desk.
Yeah.
I turn to him and I re-slap it down in front of him. I'm still on the secretary. Sorry, yes. And I go, "Hello, my name is Kai. I was piloting the Hawthorne, and now I can pilot the Endurance. Hire me."
It should be mentioned this time when you slap it down, just water from your sleeve goes everywhere, and the receptionist flinches a little bit. But the guy in the red uniform just says, "I've heard of the Hawthorne. Last I heard, that was a pretty tricky landing off of Jupiter. You're really good at dodging asteroids, it seems." That remind me, is that a C class freighter or a B class?
It's a C, but she flies like a B now because I helped a friend fix up some of the engines so they don't rattle so much.
All right. Well, he glances at you just completely soaked. What the hell? Come into my office for a minute. Major Ramdasi, by the way. Don't mind as he leads you in there. Don't mind all the posters and stuff. I just and name a movie.
Any movie?
Any movie.
I see Jurassic Park on the back of yours screen, so yeah.
Yes, there is a giant, it looks like vintage original print Jurassic Park poster right next to his desk.
Kai is amazed. She's never heard of this movie. She doesn't know what Jurassic even is. She's not from Earth. That didn't happen on her planet.
But she does like vintage movies.
I love vintage movies.
And as you begin to take in this room, you start recognizing thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. And you're quickly realizing, okay, this guy really likes his vintage movies too. And so the major sits down in his desk and offers you a chair. Says, "So, what's your experience? What's your story?"
Stories, they're long and complicated. I'm a pilot. I'm a gearhead. I know how to fix things. I know how to fly things. And I'm looking for something new. So if that sounds like something that works for your crew, then I'd love to be part of it.
It definitely does.
Also, is that a Goodfellas poster? Like the original?
Well, yes, of course.
How the hell did you manage to get that? That is so old.
I mean, a little bit of voodoo magic here and there. I'm just... You get to know people in this profession.
I would like to be in this profession.
Well, we'll definitely run you through some evaluations, but you've certainly got the spirit for it. He pulls up something on his computer screen. I do, however, need a name, so I can just get this whole ball rolling. Yeah. Before I go too much farther, you do understand what the Endurance mission is, right? We're going to be gone for centuries. You're not going to be back in Earth space, maybe for a millennia.
Will there be movies on board?
Last I checked, we've got a data bank of all pop culture as far as we know it.
That works for me. I don't think anyone's expecting me home for dinner, so.
All right. Your name?
Kai.
Kai?
KY. Yeah.
Anything else? Or just Kai?
Do you need anything else?
It helps, but I mean, he thinks for a second and then just
You could put Hawthorne.
yeah, he types in Hawthorne. That'll do. No one but you and me will know this.
Thanks.
All right. Well,
I like you, Darcy. I like the cut of your jib. I didn't say that in real life. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Well, go get yourself cleaned up, warm up, find a jacket because it rains all the time here. And
yeah, that's kind of weird, huh?
Well,
it's not cold where I'm from.
You're gonna find Earth is a lot more varied, I think, than where you came from potentially. I mean, this is cold. We got plenty of hot places too, and plenty of colder places. Anyway, go get yourself cleaned up. Get warm, please. I don't want you passing out from hypothermia before you get back here. And I will set you up. He hands you a little note that he scribbled down. That's the main barracks for away team personnel. You're going to be working for me, and we'll be in touch when we're ready to run your pilot evals.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Well, welcome, Kai Hawthorne, to the away team initiative.
Thank you, Dawson.
And
Officer Darcy?
Just
Chief Darcy, boss? What do you
you can call me Rom if you really want to. It's fine.
Okay. Rom.
All right, and that is how your journey as a member of the away team begins.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Crazy. That was fun.
Yes, it was.
I hope everybody enjoyed that. Thank you for thinking on your feet like crazy today. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's part of the fun of being a GM.
Yeah. That was really fun. Shall I do our little wrap up? We're very over time, so
yes, go for it.
Got places. Yeah, I know you got places to be.
Eventually.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of weird but really fun episode of D&D in Space. Thank you, Grant, for doing, like I said, the most insane improv ever. So impressive. Well, claps for you.
Why, thank you.
I know they're not here, but thank you to Kyle and Matthew for also providing their time and doing this with you. If you guys, if viewers missed any of the earlier ones or missed part of mine or something, or want to go back and watch any of the other episodes, all of them are going to be either here on Twitch for the first 2 weeks after they premiere, or on the Active Galactic channel, which is linked in the About page. As far as next week's streaming schedule goes, on Wednesday, so Monday's canceled because it's Memorial Day. On Wednesday, we'll be back with some astronomy news, and then on Friday we will be here, right? I think.
We'll see. I think there's still a little bit that needs to be figured out as far as next Friday goes.
We'll probably be here next Friday.
More than likely.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Follow if you're new here. Subscribe if you feel so inclined. Go follow Grant at GrantBot9000 on Twitch. He's great. Clearly.
I stream a lot of sci-fi stuff. It's same old improv, just different things to bounce off of.
Exactly. And I think that's it. I brought my dice and I didn't even get to roll them. Let's roll one. One for posterity.
Let's do
8. I'm glad I didn't roll. Glad I didn't have to roll.
Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you next time. Later, everyone.